Hello and welcome to PPR's ACC League. We're here for round 5 at Barcelona. Under the lights at the moment. As you can see, Alexandre Sable currently in P1 as qualifying is just wrapping up here. Before we get started, we'll see if he can improve that lap time of a 1:43.7. He's 8/10 clear of Sosa. He'll dive into the pits now though. Looks like his session is over. Looks like no one can really top that leaderboard. Only a couple cars left out on track. Looks like Couch is out there trying to set a lap. We'll see if we can hop on with him. No, he's indeed back in the pits. So it looks like that'll be our qualifying session done. It's like Alves down in P14. We'll dive into the pits as well. So at the moment, looking like everyone's hopping back in. As the session has indeed ended. So there you have it, folks. It'll be Sable on pole with Sosa 8/10 behind in P2, Cross in P3. As we let the cars now make their way to the grid. So now get set up for this, I believe, 60-minute race. All to play for, a mandatory pit stop as well. So you will see varying strategies on when to pit. There we go. Sosa taking a little bit of jump start there as they pull away from the grid. Sable warming up the tires there, leading the pack as we go through the final chicane to start this race. Sable getting a solid jump ahead as the drivers creep towards the start-finish straight. We got 23 drivers here today, so plenty of action about to take place as we approach the line for the PPR ACC Round 5 of Barcelona. Gets underway. Green light. Sable takes off. Solid start so far. Pulling ahead of Sosa. Sosa not losing sight yet. Clean so far as they cruise down to turn 1. Mercedes of Perez looking up the inside possibly into turn 1. We'll see who comes through. 3 wide into turn 1 for P3 there. Looks like the Porsche of Cross getting ahead though. Sable and Sosa meanwhile pulling out almost a second lead now as they're pulling up through turn 3 and down to turn 4. Sosa staying tight now with Sable trying to possibly look on the inside. Pokes his nose in there. Nothing going on. We'll go down to P3 though as Dan Cross is able to stay ahead. Looks like Perez there getting a little slidey. Sosa right on the back of Sable though. He's not letting him out of his sight. A couple of drive-throughs for our drivers. Not sure what happened. Possibly rolling too fast at the start or passing, overtaking before the start line. Go down our field now. See if everyone else is getting away cleanly. You got side by side here. Couch up the inside of Mirsky. Staying in front of him there. It's like the drive-through of Shade and Benedict. They'll have to serve that very soon. Unfortunately, their race off to a poor start. Sosa right on the back there. Looks like Alpahau way back there now. Sierra also has a 30-second stop go. But so far, pretty clean start. Meanwhile, Sable out in front. Taking the charge now as he holds off Sosa in that Mercedes AMG. Nice little train going so far. No one's really broken away. These two leaders, though, trying their best to pull away. As we come back down to complete the first lap of this Barcelona race. Sable substantially in front now of Sosa going into the second lap. We got side by side down there. Looks like between Couch and Mirsky. Mirsky trying to go up the inside now. They're side by side through turn 1. Looks like Couch staying ahead. Sorry, that's Portis. Side by side. We'll throw up the relatives here so we can see that live timing. Portis here battling with Jay Warren, it seems, in the Ferrari. Jay Warren opting for that Ferrari this time. Switching cars, I believe. Jay Warren staying ahead there. And unfortunately, Brian Faluna, I do not have admin password as I'm a spectator of this race. Can't have both, unfortunately. We'll go back up to our leaders now. As Sable is pulling up substantial gap. 1.9, almost 2 seconds from Sosa. He's on a roll at the moment. Meanwhile, Dan Cross still under pressure from the Mercedes of Perez. With Ruiz not too far behind as well. Battle for P3 is definitely on. Within less than 0.5 of a second. Coming around the final couple corners here to complete the second lap of this race. Still got 53 minutes to go, all to play for here with a mandatory pit stop included. Down there you can see the battle for P5 as well. It's quite a tight one. My apologies, P6 as Walker leads from Guedes to Jay Warren. Jay Warren is in that Porsche, so I'm not sure what the broadcasting director was telling me as to why he was in a Ferrari. Jay Warren's actually in a Porsche. He's in P. Seems to be 6 at the moment. This director needs to refresh, hopefully, so we can see who's in the correct car, in the correct position. Looks like Jay Warren's down in P8, although he's given that P6 on the relative. Meanwhile, Sable's pulling a substantial lead up there in P1. 2.9 seconds clear now of Sosa, going into the hairpin into Sector 3. Pretty tight racing there. We got a side-by-side there, looks like. With Couch ahead of Johnson in that Audi. Some very close battles here. All the way down the grid. Benedict still with that drive-through. He'll have to serve that eventually here. Jay Warren looking to get a good run now. Showing P8. Looking to get up to P7. He gets a solid run. Check onboard as he gets that super suck behind the Ferrari. See if he can look to the inside. See if the Ferrari goes defensive. He will not. Jay Warren's looking to the inside now. Can he outbrake him? Into turn 1. He will not. He'll back off there. As Guedes goes deep there into turn 2, which allows Jay Warren to possibly get the run on the outside. Could we see a dive into turn 4? See if he can get the move done. He does not. He'll stick behind. Have to patiently wait for Guedes to make a mistake. Sable at the moment completely pulling away from Sosa. Really showing the pace he has around here. It looks like Benedict has been disqualified due to not serving that drive-through penalty. That is very unfortunate for him. He'll be sitting in the pits and not able to do anything about it. Not a great way to end the race for him. Meanwhile, Sable pulling it off into the sunset. Looks like Ruiz trying to make a move on Perez for P4. Looks like back there, Walker going very wide. Maybe under pressure now. I was going to make a little bit of contact, it seems. Jay Warren up the inside now of Guedes. Coming around the final corner. Sorry, into Sector 3. Jay Warren now trying to go up the inside of Walker. Walker and Jay Warren side by side. Walker stays ahead through the chicane. who will get the better exit now. These three all battling for position. Warren right on the back of Walker as they now come onto the pitch straight. Get on board with Guedes here as they're now about to go possibly 3 wide into turn 1. As they come down, Guedes trying to make a double overtake now. Gets Jay Warren, gets Walker, goes way too deep off over the speed bumps. Has to rejoin now and will lose out a couple positions. Portis now getting ahead. Couch possibly going to make a move now as Jay Warren's trying to go up the inside of Walker. He'll tuck in behind. Portis staying ahead though. We'll go back up to our leaders and see if there's any distance covered. It's like Sable has lapped Sierra now after Sierra had to serve that stop and go, which will help him extend that gap to Sosa even more. He's 4 seconds down now. Sosa losing time as Ruiz is ahead of Pires now, pulling ahead on the charge to catch Dan Cross up there in P3. There's a huge battle going on now for P6, it looks like. Big old train led by Warren, followed by Walker, followed by Portis. Get a helicam look at this. We follow all of our drivers now. Jay Warren into Sector 3, leading this pack of 6 cars. He'll have to do everything he can for the next 48 minutes to try and hold these guys off. We'll definitely see some pit stop strategies to possibly make the under or overcut happen. Warren with a comfortable lead ahead of these guys now. Coming to turn 1. No one really looking like they have the move for an overtake. Everyone has a slipstream now. We'll go to the back of this pack. Looks like Johnson's in that McLaren. Go on board with him. As you can see, this huge train, very difficult to try and make passes when everyone has a slipstream. You just gotta hope someone makes a mistake here. As they now follow suit into turn 4. Looks like Warren's slightly pulling a bit of a gap, a little bit of a safety net there. Go back up to our leaders. Sable cruising out in front. Sosa now seems to be 6 seconds back from the leader. Sable sitting comfortably at the moment. As we saw in our Porsche Cup race last week, anything can happen. Dan Cross comfortably leading and unfortunately into the wall. Luckily the walls are a bit further away for this track. But again, anything can happen when you're leading comfortably. So we'll keep an eye on him. Make sure he can bring it home. Still 45 minutes left to go. Plenty can happen. Dan Cross, of course, looking for a solid result here. Ruiz trying to close in on Cross as best he can. We'll go back to that battle. Big old train. Jay Warren's pulled a significant gap now ahead of those guys. Looks like possibly Portis looking for a move now on Walker. He'll tuck in behind though. Sorry, Couch on Portis. Very tight battle here as these cars are trading around. Luis Guedes unable to make any kind of move at the moment, waiting patiently for something to happen. And Johnson just sitting in the back at the moment, unable to do much. We'll see who will be the first to pit out of all these drivers. Victor Mirsky in that Ferrari, trying to catch on the back of this pack. So you can see the big train. He wants to be a part of it, trying to become that caboose. As Alves and Lopez look to keep up. Alpaleo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, doing a good job of catching back up now. After I believe he had to serve a penalty. He's now in the back of Viral. Go back up to our battle for P6. Jay Warren now closing on the back of Perez. Very close now. He's right on the back of him. Could possibly look to make a move here. Perez missing that apex slightly, so allowing Warren to stay nice and close to put the pressure on. Warren pulling away from that pack in P6. Ruiz, as we can see, closing in a little bit on Dan Cross in P3. Warren dropping back a little bit there by hitting the sausage curb. Sable pulling a substantial gap now on Sosa. See if Warren can do anything here coming out of the final corner. See how effective the slipstream is here. Perez trying to break the slipstream a little bit. Making a move there. Goes back to the outside of the racing line. That Mercedes power just too much for the Porsche. Oh, as Jay Warren loses it. Oh my goodness, and he'll go off track. That pushes Walker, Portis, Couch, Guedes, Johnson, all past him, and he'll go back to the caboose of the train he was just conducting. That is unfortunate for Jay Warren. That's plenty of positions lost just from a little bit of a lockup there. Oversteer. And he'll drop down to P11 after that mishap. Every corner counts here at this track, and especially with this competition. Can't afford to make mistakes like that. Perez is safely in P5 at the moment, with Walker up to P6. Couch goes a little deep there, it seems. Now, on the charge from Guedes as they go into the high-speed right-hander. Guedes around the outside, possibly. Couch staying on the inside. They're still side by side, coming down. Guedes up the inside. Johnson looking for something, too. We'll see who gets through. Guedes up the inside now into the hairpin. Couch looking for a switchback. He gets it done. Forces him wide, makes contact. Couch has been spun around. Guedes gets ahead. Couch down to P12. Very unfortunate for him. May have a little bit of damage there. Guedes now side by side with Johnson after that contact. He was able to keep his car intact. Some more contact there from Guedes. He goes around now. Johnson stays ahead. Guedes off track, unfortunately. Couch and Alves now catching up to him. We'll see. Alves gets ahead in the chicane. More contact from Guedes. Couch coming on the back of him. Guedes will pit indeed. Couch will opt to stay out now as he tries to make his charge back up to P5 and P6. Exciting turn of events there. A little bit of a mishap. Meanwhile, Walker comfortably leading this midfield pack. Portis staying with him though, not giving up yet. So our first to pit will be Perez. Ruiz closing that gap ever so slightly now on Dan Cross for P3. Looking to charge up and cop a spot on that podium. Sable 10 seconds ahead of Sosa now. He was controlling this race. Pulling out a massive lead now. He did qualify 0.8 of ahead of P2. So it's kind of what you'd expect here with his kind of pace. Due to that mishap, Jay Warren's able to make it back up to P9. Following suit with Johnson. Mursky on the charge as well. Trying to stay with Warren here. Let's go down to Couch and see if he can make up any spots. Hopefully his car isn't too damaged from that impact. Headlights are still on. Johnson's got a big enough gap there to stay ahead of Warren. Coming into turn 1. Portis sitting comfortably behind Walker, waiting for some kind of mistake, as we've seen from our previous challengers. It's the Ferrari v Honda. Walker doing an excellent job in that NSX. One of our lone NSX runners, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed. I believe he's the only one running in the Honda. And in P6 at that. So props to him. Showing some solid pace here. Meanwhile, Sable is just rocketing ahead. As we can see, he's going into turn 1 before Sosa has really even gotten on the main straight. Pulling out very quick lap times, 12 seconds now. Dan Cross trying to stay with him as well. Pretty even gap between P2, 3, and 4. These guys are all trying to get every 10th out of every corner to close those gaps. Looks like Walker and Porter are slowly closing on Perez for P5. Meanwhile, Couch is right on the back of Jay Warren. Plenty of battles going on track right now. But some of our drivers unable to make a pass. Couch goes pretty deep there through the high-speed chicane. Most of our drivers in the top 10 at the moment are fighting for some kind of championship position at the moment. So Alves goes pretty deep there. Looks like Alves has been trying to catch onto the back of these guys, so we'll see what he can do. Looks like Guedes has got a stop-go penalty. Not sure what that entirely is about. He's down to P20 now, unfortunately. He'll be serving that. And I don't believe that has been cleared yet, according to the game, maybe once he exits the pits, it'll be all cleared. There he goes. Underway, down in P20. Unfortunately, Mayheb came into the pits a little bit too hot. Sable, meanwhile, absolutely cruising out front in that Porsche. Dan Cross now just 2 seconds behind Sosa. Looking to do everything he can at the moment. None of our front runners really have made a pit stop yet, with 35 minutes left in the race. Alves falling slightly back to Couch and Warren. A lot of our drivers spaced out quite a lot now. Sable has been lapping some of our back markers and continuing to extend that gap even more to Sosa. Dan Cross now awfully close to Sosa. This could be a spicy battle for P2 halfway through the race. Porsche closing down on the Mercedes driver. Dan Cross doing what he can to try and stay within that slipstream. Sosa on the back of Riders now on the back marker in P17. We'll have to navigate him as quickly as possible and hope that Dan Cross gets held up. See how Sosa prevails here. As the back marker of Riders gets well out the way, he's going to the sand trap. Having a little vacation at the beach while these front runners cruise on by. Dan Cross able to navigate very quickly through. Now almost within a second. As you can see, Sosa's well within his reach. Hard on the brakes into the hairpin. Missing that apex just slightly. Carrying a lot of speed though. Into sector 3. Some very slow corners here with some very high curbs. As Dan Cross will dive into the pits, so he's the first of the front runners to head into the pits. I take that back. Sable, our leader, is also in the pits. So Dan Cross following suit with Sable. We'll see just how long their pit stops are. Meanwhile, Sosa trying to extend that gap and possibly keep that P2 position. He's currently in the lead at the moment due to Sable pitting. We'll see if Dan Cross can try the overcut. Looks like he's just finally getting into his pit stall up near the end of the pit lane. Sable still pitting. We'll see if they change their tires. As Walker now decides to pit as well. Got a few in the pit lane at the moment. Sable gets his pit done, and he's back on his way, coming out of the pit lane now. Still with that substantial lead. Probably about 12 seconds later, we'll see Cross come out of the pits. So we see a lovely shot of Dan Cross behind the leaderboard tower. He'll come to the pits now. We'll see where Sosa is if he decides to pit anytime soon. He's in Sector 3 out here leading. We'll see if he opts to pit this lap or possibly stretch even longer and try and let that fuel tank run lower. Get some quicker lap times in. So he approaches the final couple corners here. Will he dive to the pits? He stays wide, and he'll go on for another lap at least. He's looking to put some flyers in with all this fresh air. No one to pressure him behind. We'll see what he can do. About a second off his best pace, though, so we'll see if he can improve that time. Meanwhile, Portis up into P2. The race director tells us we're halfway through the race. Portis staying out for another lap as well. Looks like he's following suit with Sosa, as well as Alfez and Alpaleo. They're staying out. Meanwhile, everyone else has pitted, basically. Dan Cross quite a bit back now from Sable, 14.5 seconds. Jay Warren down at P12 now after pitting. Mirsky looking to challenge now. We'll see if Sosa decides to pit this time around. He's coming into Sector 2 now. Just approaching Sector 3. Mirsky and Jay Warren already a pit, and Sosa's coming on the back of them. We'll see if he decides to pit or stay out and possibly fight this traffic. Maybe wise for him to come in the next 1 or 2 laps, as his clean air has started to run out. Like Couch has pit as well now, so he'll be dropping back. See where he comes out with Jay Warren and Mirsky. Sosa does decide to pit now. He's gone in. We'll see where he can come out. Drops it down. No stop and go for him, as he's safely into the pits. Sable coming on to the back straight. We'll see where he can come out. I'm assuming in front of Sosa substantially. The main man we're looking for, though, is this man right here, Dan Cross. We'll see where he can come out next to him. He'll have to put in a banger now. His last lap was a 47. That's, of course, with him exiting the pits. So we'll have to see if he has the pace to catch Sosa. Meanwhile, Sosa just sitting in the pits. As it looks like now. Sable's passing him now. Sable taking back that spot. Of course, Portis does have yet to pit. Sosa now exiting, as we can see. Dan Cross way back there. Sosa substantially out in front. So the undercut did not work there, as Sosa stays ahead. And if he did pit for tires, he will have the fresher tires. But then again, Dan Cross will have those tires at optimum temperature pretty shortly here, a lot quicker than Sosa, so he'll have to try and close that gap as much as possible. 25 minutes left to go. Portis still yet to pit. He's been stretching this car for as long as possible. 25 minutes left, well past halfway. Out in the lead at the moment. We'll see what he opts to do this time around. Clock is now struck 9:33 p.m. local time. Portis does decide to go into the pits now. Slows down just in time. We'll cruise along. Meanwhile, Alex Sable cruising up. Couch just behind him. But of course, a full lap and then some behind him. Sable just that quick at the moment. Pulling out a heck of a gap. Sable will inherit that P1 ahead of Portis, who has now pit. Crossed 2.3 seconds back, so Sosa doing a good job staying ahead. We'll see if he can close that down even more, though. We'll see just exactly where Portis comes out. Meanwhile, Warren on the back of Mirsky. Portis coming out of the pits now in a solid position. Walker just gets by him. Portis gonna challenge Perez into turn one. We'll see what happens here. Perez backs off though. We'll tuck in behind Portis. So Portis up into P6. He'll have to get those tires warm as quick as possible though. It looks like Perez is right on the back. See if he makes some kind of move into turn four. He does not. He'll stay content down there and wait for a move at a later time. Meanwhile, Sosa's running a quick lap now, looking to set his best time, as he's, looks like, according to our data, a full 1.5 seconds up on his best time. Comes into the final sector, pulling 2.7 seconds, 2.8 ahead of Dan Cross. So he's pretty comfortable, but not out of the park yet. Comes up to the line, we'll see what he can do to improve. So the 1:45.1, that's his best lap of the session. For him personally, we know Sable's been setting flyers though, as he's way out in front, 14 seconds ahead of Sosa. Not much to worry about at the moment. Jay Warren ahead of Mirsky now. Getting that move done earlier. Puts him up to P8. This battle now for P5 between Walker, Portis, and Perez. About to heat up with 20 minutes left to go in this race here at Barcelona. Mirsky trying his best to stay with Warren now. He's slowly dropping off. At the moment though, this is our guy, Alex Sable, out in front. Not too much to worry about at the moment. You can take it nice and easy to the end and still have quite a comfortable lead. As we can see that battle for P5 in the background. Halfway down the track. As Walker still leads it in that P5 battle. Perez hanging on the back there. Dan Cross now 3.5 seconds back. You can see Sosa's really trying to pull away here. Ruiz has lost a substantial amount of time and is sitting in no man's land at the moment. 14 seconds back from P3 and about 14 seconds ahead of P5. So if he just keeps his cool, he'll be grabbing a nice bunch of points here in Barcelona under the lights. See all our dedicated fans for this race staying out here late at night. Porter's getting a little bit closer now this time around. Really putting the pressure on. Walker's still able to command the lead though at the moment. No one's made too many mistakes in this race so far. Some pretty clean racing other than that incident earlier on. So far so good. I know the spectators would sure like to see something happen to spice things up, but for now, it's been some clean, good racing. Warren pulling up safe gap now. Very healthy in front of Mirsky for that P8. Still 9 seconds down the road from Perez. Got a battle for P10 coming on now. It's Alpa Hill in front of Alves. Oh, Alves getting on the curves a little bit, almost losing it. Saves it though. Keeps up the pace. Doesn't lose too much time, but he'll lose the passing opportunity for Alpa Hill. Portis putting a bunch of pressure on Walker now. 15 minutes left in this race. He's got to make his move sometime in the next 7 or so laps. Sosa comfortably up there in P2. Dan Cross not really able to chip away at that gap. Portis looking for a move around the outside. Walker going very defensive. Could look for a switchback here. Portis able to put him off his line. So pressure is really on for P5 at the moment. We can see him come into Sector 3. We'll see if Portis can get a solid exit here. Exit out of this final chicane is crucial, as this is the main passing opportunity. Portis right on the back now of Walker. Solid exit there. Just as I mentioned that, he does exactly that. We'll go on board now with Portis. He's right on the back of the Honda NSX of Luke Walker. Will he go to the inside? We'll see. Portis pulls out into the inside. Walker stays wide. They're side by side. Portis deep into the corner. Gets the move done nice and clean. Walker trying to come back around the outside. We'll see. Portis closes him off. Gets the move done. P5 secured there at the moment. Walker back down to P6. Perez trying to catch back up to these two. We'll see if Portis can extend this gap or if Walker can come back with his own move. Portis can keep it together. He'll come home with a hefty chunk of points. All he's got to do is hang on for 13 and a half more minutes. We'll see if we have any other close battles at the moment. Looks like Alves has dropped back quite a bit there. Tucked in behind the back marker of riders. Looks like Johnson and Viral could be going out. Viral going inside, way off track now. Not sure what happened there. As Sable is looking to pass back markers. Looks like Viral got out the way for Sable. Sable coming through now of Johnson. As these guys continue to fight now. Our blue flagger's doing an excellent job getting out of the way of the leader. Oh, Sable loses a little bit. Gets on the dirt. But keeps it on track. Gets back on. Not too much to worry about there. Has substantial control of the car. Viral, though, now right on the back. We'll see if he can make a move on Johnson. As Sable's back on the dirt again, so it looks like Sable's not sitting too comfortably up there. Tangling with these back markers. He's losing a little bit of time, but Sosa's still 12 seconds back there. P2 Johnson going to the outside. Sable going defensive on these back markers. Not what you want to see as a leader trying to hold off back markers. Sable's still 12 seconds ahead of Sosa, though. So not too much to worry about with 12 minutes to go. All he has to do is keep it at least a second slower than Sosa's lap times, and he'll be solid. Plenty of room to spare. Goes wide there over the curb. That's a good exit there. There you have it, 4 seconds slower than his best lap time, so not the greatest lap for him. Definitely helping Sosa out as he tries to close in. Meanwhile, the battle's still on. As Walker's trying to stay with Portis. Looks like Johnson's pulled pretty healthy away from Viral. Couch on the back of Guedes. Sosa has to get through these guys quickly. Couch going pretty wide through turn 3 there. Not much going on, though. Couch chilling, waiting for something to happen. T Shade, with not much going on in his life at the moment. He's down in P12. Pretty by himself, all alone in Sector 3. As well as Jay Warren, he's gotten a solid gap on Mirsky now, but a bit too far back to make anything happen on P7. Meanwhile, Walker trying to get past Portis. Portis not really pulling away too quickly here, so he's not out of the park. Meanwhile, Dan Cross now 6 seconds back from Sosa. Looks like that P2 is out of reach at the moment. Sable setting another quicker lap, 2 seconds faster than last lap. So he's comfortable with 9 minutes to go in this race. Track is cooling, of course. The tire wear is in effect. Not as harsh as earlier in the race, though. Seems Walker has dropped back a bit from Portis now. Be too far back to make a move at the moment. Couch right on the back of Guedes. Could possibly make a move in the hairpin after this next straight. But Sosa will also have to deal with these two battling. We hop on board now. Will he make a move up the inside? He looks to the inside. Pokes his nose in. Not much doing there. As Guedes goes very deep in the hairpin. Goes wide. Couch will get up ahead now. Get that move done. All he had to do was just pressure him. And Guedes outbroke himself. Going off track. Couch up into P15 now. Sosa right on the back now. See how he can handle these back markers. As they're battling for position. It's very hard to get out the way for a front runner when you're trying to get that extra position in your own race. So it's a bit too far back to make a move of his own. He'll have to let these guys get out the way for him. Guedes pushes into the back of Couch. He'll back off, though. These two have been battling most of the race. Couch going wide now, allowing Sosa through. Sosa comfortably through. Meanwhile, Sable's still way out in front. He's pulling gaps now on Sosa. Dan Cross a bit far back as well. 7, almost 8 seconds behind Sosa. Walker dropping back from Portis. So all of our battles slowly fading as our drivers extend those gaps. Warren closing in a bit on Perez here. 6 minutes left to go, and he's gotten that gap down to 4 seconds. Coming on the back of this P5 battle. We'll see if he can make any kind of moves here at the end to increase his amount of points he'll be taking home after this weekend. James Warren slowly chipping away at that gap. Not closing down quick enough. It seems 5 minutes left to go in this race. We'll have to do a whole lot more if he wants to catch that P5 spot. Sable hasn't had too much to worry about this race. Been basically in a league of his own. Only challenges he's had is lapping most of the field at the moment. You can see him using all of the track there. That's what allows him to have maximum pace around this track, using every inch of every curb he can. Just a few laps left here now in this Barcelona race. You could see everyone around him is back markers. No one to challenge at the moment. It's like Couch and Veral getting into it. We'll go down there, check out what that battle's all about. Guedes now ahead of Couch after we earlier saw Couch ahead of Guedes. Not sure what happened there. This Couch will look to try and make another move of some sort. Jay Warren now approaching a back marker. He's closed that gap to Perez. As Lopez goes way off track, he's getting out the way. He knows he's not welcome in this battle. Nice shot from him there. 3 minutes left in this race, so probably about 3 laps left to go. The battle for P5 is pretty spaced out, but Jay Warren closing in on that gap. We'll have to make some early moves as quick as possible if he wants to make his way up these next couple of guys. We know he's got the pace. Unfortunately, he had that spin earlier, so we'll see what he can do to make it back up. That's Couch coming out in front of Guedes. They're going side by side at the moment. Guedes staying ahead. Couch really giving him a challenge there. Seeing come into Sector 3 now. Couch putting the pressure on with just 3 minutes left to go. Nice and tidy through the final sector. It's Ferrari v Audi on to the main straight. Couch just a bit far back. We'll see if he can close that gap with the slipstream. Definitely could go for a move here if he wants a late lunge. You can see him getting closer and closer to that Ferrari as they come into turn 1. Will he poke his nose out? Goes to the inside now. Is he going to be late on the brakes? Now he'll back off, and Guedes stays ahead through turns 1 and 2. Couch has got about 2 laps left to make any sort of move, as the leader, Dan Cross, is approaching them as well. Guedes getting a bit wide there. Couch looking at the inside into turn 5. Couch will have to back off a little bit. Jay Warren on the back of Perez. Perez right on the back of Walker. Jay Warren going very wide through turn 3. This could be a battle now for P6 at the moment. Walker getting chased down by these 2 drivers. Looks like Portis is healthily out in P5. This is now the battle for P6 to the end. Just a minute 20 left. Dan Cross should be crossing. Yep, there it is. Race director tells us. Leaders on the final lap. These guys will have to cross the line and do one more. Jay Warren will have to make a move very shortly here, right on the back of Perez. He'll have to make a move into the hairpin if he wants to even get a shot at that P6. Comes up now. He's going to go to the inside of Perez. Into the hairpin now. Side by side. Up the inside goes Jay Warren. Goes deep there. Perez looking for the switchback. They're going to go side by side now into Sector 3. Jay Warren will get out ahead. And now is on the charge for that P6 spot. Just 2 seconds up the road. We'll see if he can close that gap in this final lap. Meanwhile, Sable sitting pretty out in front. Go back down to that P14-15 battle. Couch still behind Guedes. Unable to make much happen. Dan Cross has backed off and will cruise home to the victory. Sable will cruise home to the victory. Rounds the hairpin now. We'll hop back with Jay Warren. See how close he is to Walker. He's still 2 seconds down. Looks like Walker's comfortably in that P6 position. All he has to do is keep it together here. Jay Warren going very wide into the marbles. Keeps it back on track now. Sable coming into the final sector as he rounds the final corner. Qualified on pole by 8/10. Led the race almost every lap. And he'll cross the line to win this Barcelona race for ACC. Congrats to him. Dominated, completely deserved there. And he'll come home in P1. Sosa, of course, showing his pace around this track as well. Had a solid race, led for a couple laps due to pit stops, crosses the line, and will finish P2. Dan Cross not too far behind in that Porsche. Crosses the line and nags that final podium spot for this race. Ruiz having a nice little lonely race. Will come home with a solid bunch of points in P4. Go back down now as Walker, as Jay Warren has been given a drive-through, possibly for exceeding track limits. Not sure what happened there. We'll see if he dives into the pits now, and we'll see where he can end up as Perez will try and lap him. Jay Warren opts to not go into the pit, so we'll see if he gets disqualified here by crossing the line. He gets an 80-second penalty tacked on. The stewards will have to review that and possibly remove it. Perez will take P7 though. As we can see our final standings now. Sable, your race winner. Solid drive from him. Congrats to him completely there. Well deserved. Absolutely dominated this race. As he comes now onto the Barcelona and looks to celebrate now. Spins it around. Some well-deserved donuts here at Barcelona, Catalunya. Commanding lead and a commanding victory for him. Earned himself a nice amount of points there. So there you have it, folks. End of that race session. We'll go ahead and close out of there. Appreciate you guys all for watching. We'll go ahead and close off the stream. Excellent performance from all of our podium finishers and all of our drivers there. Love to see a solid, clean race here at PPR in our ACC League. If you're interested, go ahead and join our Discord and we can get you sorted. We, of course, have iRacing, we have F1, and, of course, ACC. And if you like what you saw, go ahead and leave a like, and we will indeed catch you next time. Again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you around.